Mirasee. In a great oak forest, where the trees grew tall and majestic, there was a little apple tree. It was the only apple tree in that forest, so it stood alone. Winter came. As the snow fell to the forest floor, it covered the branches of the little apple tree. The forest was quiet and peaceful. One night, the little apple tree looked up at the sky and saw a wonderful sight. Between the branches of all the trees, the little apple tree saw the stars in the sky, which appeared to be hanging on the branches of the oak trees. Oh God, whispered the little apple tree, how lucky those oak trees are to have such beautiful stars hanging on their branches. I want more than anything in the world to have stars on my branches, just like the oak trees have. Then I would feel truly special. God looked down at the little apple tree and said gently, have patience, little apple tree. Hi, I'm Lisa Bloom, the story coach, and you're listening to Once Upon a Business. In each episode, we explore a story, a fairy tale, folk tale, or traditional tale, so that we can discover the amazing lessons relevant for business and for entrepreneurs. Time passed, the snows melted, and spring came to the land. Tiny white and pink apple blossoms appeared on the branches of the little apple tree. Birds came to rest on its branches. People walked by the little apple tree and admired its beautiful blossoms. But night after night, the little apple tree looked up at the sky with the millions and millions and millions of stars and cried out, "Oh God, I want more than anything in the world to have stars in my tree and on my branches and in my leaves, just like those oak trees." And God looked down at the little apple tree and said, "You already have gifts. Isn't it enough to have shade to offer people, and fragrant blossoms, and branches for birds to rest on so they can sing you their songs?" The apple tree sighed and answered simply, "Dear God, I don't mean to sound ungrateful, but that's not special enough. I do appreciate how much pleasure I give to others, but what I really want more than anything in the world is to have stars, not blossoms, on my branches. That would feel truly special." God smiled and answered, "Be patient, little apple tree." The seasons changed again. Soon the apple tree was filled with many beautiful apples. People walked in the forest. Whoever saw the apple tree would reach up, pick an apple and eat it. And still, when night came to the forest, the apple tree looked at the stars in the oak trees and called out, "Oh God, I want more than anything in the world to have stars in my branches. Then I would feel truly special." And God asked, "But apple tree, isn't it enough that you now have such wonderful apples to offer people? Doesn't that satisfy you? Doesn't that give you enough pleasure and make you feel special?" Without saying a word, the apple tree answered by shaking its branches from side to side. At that moment, God caused a wind to blow. The great oak trees began to sway and the apple tree began to shake. From the top of the apple tree, an apple fell. When it hit the ground, it split open. "Look," commanded God, "look inside yourself. What do you see?" The little apple tree looked down and saw that right in the middle of the apple was a star. And the apple tree answered, "A star! I have a star!" And God laughed a gentle laugh and added, "So you do have stars on your branches. They've been there all along. You just didn't know it." This story is by Penina Schramm and Rachel Eckstein Davis. When I tell this story, I'll often bring an apple and cut it from the center. You see, most of us cut apples from the top down, but if you cut it sideways, you do get this perfect star in every apple. It's a wonderful prop to use to tell the story. I had a friend who said that after he heard this story, he began searching in all the fruits. He found the star in the pear and in the kiwi. Every fruit he could find, he would cut through the center to search for the star until one day he told me he heard the voice and it said, "Why are you still searching for the star in everything? You know it's inside you too." He swore that God helped him to find his star. I love how the story starts with the little apple tree alone in the great big forest among tall oaks. The tree is different, and it's not unlike the feeling that so many entrepreneurs feel when they start their business. They're small and alone, and being towered over by the giants of the industry that came before them. It can feel lonely and isolating, and also intimidating at the start. And all the more reason to try and find the connecting fabric of the forest or of the business arena so that you can begin to thrive together. They say that trees in a forest do connect through a network underground. Some scientists have nicknamed it the wood wide web, where the trees share food and other resources so that they can all thrive. I'd love to think that business would do the same, connect and share so that everyone can thrive. Though in reality, just like in the forest, there will always be the organisms that hack into the network and spread poison so that they can outgrow their rivals. In the story, the little apple tree, above all, wants to feel special. I think this is true of so many entrepreneurs. We feel our ideas are special, our contribution is different, and we long to be seen and to become a star in our own realm. The little apple tree, like many, looks outside of himself to see what he thought was special. He longed for the stars that he believed were part of the other trees and saw only lack in himself. The irony is that he was mistaken. The stars are in the sky. They don't belong to the tall oaks. And so he was longing for something that doesn't actually exist. It reminds me of how we make assumptions. We assume that we understand the extent of the success of other businesses. And often we aspire for things that may not even be true. I think of the perfect facade that so many businesses and entrepreneurs create, or the overnight successes that probably took 10 years of preparation to happen, and see how we can find ourselves chasing an illusion. All along in the story, we realize that the star, the specialness, our unique beauty and gift are inside of all of us. And it was in there all along. It's a powerful message, perhaps a message from God, and especially powerful as there are some of us for whom it does seem to take an act of God for us to see past our own perceived limitations, so that we can clearly see our own special, unique gift. In the story, God is portrayed as patient and understanding, as the little apple tree is so focused on the stars and in his desire to be special. It's a beautiful lesson for us to be patient with ourselves. So often we're in such a hurry to get to the perceived finish line that we don't acknowledge or appreciate the process of building our business. When you think about it, it's quite miraculous that the little apple tree makes blossoms and then fruit appear. In a similar vein, we build business from nothing. That should be worthy of awe, and yet our accomplishment gets minimized because we haven't hit 6 figures yet, or 1 million, or whatever the goal is that we've set for ourselves. We need to be patient and let the fruits of our business develop and ripen. Sometimes our unique gift and the clarity of the value that we bring is not clear in our roles or our business. It can take time to come to full fruition. And so I love that this story urges us to nurture patience and awe in the process. Isn't it interesting that we all have such a strong need to be special? It's such a strange thing, and not just a little bit narcissistic. You see, there's one more beautiful lesson from this story. Perhaps we can learn from the little apple tree's narcissistic yet so familiar desire to be special, that if only this little tree could shift its focus from its egocentric needs and instead focus on the pleasure and nurture that its blossoms and fruit bring people and the creatures, it could feel much more satisfaction. When we shift from the desire to feel special and instead focus on the gifts we are blessed with, the value we offer, and the impact we can have, we're not separate, we're deeply connected, we're an intricate part of creation. I'm Lisa Bloom, and you've been listening to Once Upon a Business. You can find out more about me at story-coach.com. That's story-coach.com. Once Upon a Business is part of the Mirasee FM podcast network, which also includes such shows as Just Between Coaches and Course Lab. This episode of Once Upon a Business was produced by Cynthia Lamb. Jeff Govertson and Melissa Deal assembled the episode. Danny Innie is our executive producer. Post-production was by Post Office Sound. So you don't miss the episodes that are coming up on Once Upon a Business, please follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're listening right now. And if you like the show, please leave us a starred review. It really does help us out. Thank you. We'll see you next time.